Chaos is the word I would use to describe the NHL Draft, because not only did the Devils make their selections, they made a couple of big trades. How do I feel about them? We have a lot to break down in today's episode of Locked On Devils, coming to you from the Sphere in Las Vegas, Nevada. Buckle up, everybody.
You're Locked On Devils, your daily podcast on the New Jersey Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, this is Bryce Salvador, and you're Locked On Devils with Trey Matthews.
Scores! Oh, Stevens stepped up, nailed him. Brodor's got the puck. What a shot. The Devils win the Stanley Cup.
Alrighty now, what is up, New Jersey? Welcome back to the Locked On Devils podcast here on the Locked On Network. I'm your host, college hockey play-by-play announcer, Devils Wire for Pucks and Pitchforks, and also part-time credential media member, Trey Matthews, back for the second and final day of the NHL Draft. Hopefully you don't hear too much of the post-draft commotion behind me. We have quite the jam-packed episode. The Devils only had one selection last night. They used their 10th overall pick to select Anton Salayev from Russia. Talked about him in the previous episode. You would think the Devils would stay low-key and just go through the motions in day numeral dose of the draft. Well, I hope you didn't bet those odds, because we are in Vegas. A lot of movement at the Sphere involving key assets for the Devils. Fitzy got to work. In the first segment, we'll recap those two big trades that the Devils made. Then in the second segment, I will highlight some prospects that the Devils selected, and I will play some sound bites from their media availability. And then to close it out, I will share my thoughts as to where the Devils go from here, because the madness continues. We had the Stanley Cup final, the NHL Draft, development camp is right around the corner, and free agency begins July 1st. Let's recap these two trades that the Devils made. The first one, I like. The other one, not so much. The Devils traded away John Marino to the Utah Hockey Club and a 2024 fifth-round pick in exchange for Utah's 2024 second-round pick and a 2025 second-round pick. As we all know, Marino has been on the trade block for the last couple days. He had a modified no-trade clause that kicked in July 1st, and the Devils had to trade him away ASAP because, as we all know, Fitzgerald has made it a point of emphasis that he wants to go big game hunting. And I said the main concern that I had was that the Devils have a decent amount of players signed long-term, and Marino was one of them. Marino is not a bad player, but the Devils were in desperate need to revamp their blue line, especially with Fitzgerald trying to get these big-name players come free agency, and we're just a couple days away. He was owed $4.4 million for the next 3 seasons. If I do the math, that's about $13.3 million freed up after the trade. Here are my thoughts. I think it's clear that the Devils have their eyes set on Brett Pesce, who is a pending UFA, and I talked about him a couple days ago. I said Pesce is a solid defenseman. He's not really going to focus on offense. He's not the most physical guy, but he knows where to position himself, and I'd say he was a decent asset for the Carolina Hurricanes. And the thing is, Pesce has already taken a team-friendly deal with the Hurricanes, and in this free agent market, he knows that he's due for a pay increase, and I don't think the Hurricanes are going to be able to retain him due to the fact that they have a lot of other players that are in need of new contracts. And it's also reported that the Devils are interested in Brendan Dillon, who's also set to become an unrestricted free agent this Monday. We'll see what happens, but it's clear that Fitzgerald needed to get rid of some finance in order to give himself more wiggle room so he can pursue Pesce and Dillon come July 1st. All right, here's the second trade that the Devils made. And I'm not really the biggest fan of it, but I understand the direction that Fitzgerald was trying to go. The Devils traded away Alexander Holtz, Akira Schmid, to the Vegas Golden Knights. Ironically, we are in Vegas right now, the mecca of gambling. in exchange for Paul Cotter and Vegas's 2025 third round pick. All right, before I talk about Cotter, let's talk about the two assets that the Devils had to sacrifice. Alexander Holtz. He's been on the chopping block for the last couple years now. We thought he was going to be involved in the Timo Meier trade. We thought he might have to be included in some sort of package if the Devils were serious about getting a goalie. Alexander Holtz was not looked all that favorably by the organization. Lindy Ruff didn't really have too many nice things to say about him. The same can be said for Tom Fitzgerald. And I felt as though that Alexander Holtz was sometimes the scapegoat. Was he the best player out there? No, but I think he's far from worse. I'd say he's a solid scorer, and he can work on his puck handling and his defense, but he needs to make mistakes in order to improve. That's why his numbers are so much better in Utica compared to his time with the Devils. Ben Burnell, who covers the Utica Comets, came on this show and said that the reason why you see those stats inflate at the AHL is because Kevin Dineen, the head coach for the Comets, gives Alexander Holtz a longer leash. And that's what I've been preaching, which is you just got to be patient with Alexander Holtz. I felt as though he had a lot of untapped potential, but considering the fact that he's still in the midst of his entry-level contract, he would have been one of the more easier assets to move on from. Holtz played in all 82 games, and he scored 16 goals. And Akira Schmid, we all know what he did in last year's playoffs against the New York Rangers in round one. Yes, he took a couple steps backwards, but I don't think that's his fault. I think the Devils sort of rushed him because they saw what he did in the playoffs, and they're like, okay, let's run it back with Vitek Vanecek and Akira Schmid. And unfortunately, I think Schmid would have benefited if he marinated in the AHL just a tad bit longer, but I can sort of see that as well because the Devils now have Jacob Markstrom, Jake Allen, Nico Dawes. He also impressed in the few opportunities he was given. I just think that Akira Schmid wasn't going to be given the opportunity that he once had, and I guess you can use him in this sort of trade. But for Paul Cotter, I'm a little conflicted because I think if you involved Alexander Holtz and Akira Schmid in a different trade package, I think you could have gotten way better because, like I said, Alexander Holtz has been rumored in trade discussions for the past couple seasons for Timo Meier or maybe a big-name goalie or another big-name asset, and you get Paul Cotter. And here's the thing about Cotter. He's a big physical power forward, played mostly third line, but you sometimes saw him on the second line for Vegas last season. He's projected to be a mid to bottom six type of player. He's a solid asset. This past season with Vegas, he had 25 points, 7 goals, 18 assists. But let's focus on some other tangibles, shall we? He had a face-off win percentage of 49.1% and 233 hits. Obviously, that is Miles Wood and Michael McLeod's replacement because the one thing that I've been talking about on this show the past couple weeks is that the Devils need to add more depth in terms of forwards because they missed the productivity of McLeod and also Wood. Players are not going to show up in the score sheet, but aren't afraid to play physical, aren't afraid to take the faceoffs, aren't afraid to work the corners. Basically, you need that blue-collar type of player. And if the Devils are good again, if we're being realistic, someone like Curtis McDermott, he's not going to suit up in most of the games. Cotter, I like his game. I think the one thing he needs to focus on is being a little more consistent, and maybe a change of scenery will help. But for this trade in general, I don't know. I'm a little conflicted because, yes, you do get more depth in terms of forwards, but on the other hand, you gave up two decent assets, Alexander Holtz and Akira Schmid, two players who have not hit their primes, two players who have a lot of untapped potential, and you get a bottom six player. But if we're looking at his contract, he has this season and next season remaining on his 3-year, $2.325 million deal, and he has an average annual value of $775,000. once again, I understand the direction, but I feel like the Devils could have gotten a lot more for Holtz and Schmid, two players that have to improve in more ways than one, but also two players who have showcased their potential. A mundane, a diamond in the rough. We'll see what happens, but if Alexander Holtz couldn't make it work in New Jersey, I don't know how Vegas is going to treat him. I'm a little perplexed by that. We'll see how the Golden Knights utilize him, but the one thing I could say for Holtz is that you just have to give him more chances to make mistakes so that way he can learn and grow from them. Because, yes, he did commit a lot of turnovers, but everyone makes mistakes as long as you can learn from it, redeem yourself. And I just don't think Holtz was given that chance. But let me know what you think. Now, before we continue with today's episode and focus on the players that the Devils selected in day 2 of the draft, I want to tell you about FanDuel. We are in the mecca of sports gambling, Sin City. I love sports. I love them so much, I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games. And the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open up the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon and start making the most of your summer. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Visit FanDuel.com to look at the odds. And please remember to always gamble responsibly. Okay, let's focus on some draft prospects for the Devils in day numeral dos of the NHL Draft here in Las Vegas. In the second round, in which the Devils got that pick from Utah due to the John Marino trade, they selected Mikhail Yegorov from the Omaha Lancers. Worth mentioning that he is the number 1 ranked North American goalie. The Devils continue to find players that have a number 1 ranking because, as we all know, Anton Salayev was ranked number 1 among European skaters, and now Yegorov, number 1 ranked goalie in North America. We'll see how that pans out, but with Akira Schmid now gone, you sort of have to find the next goalie in line to develop. The Devils selected 2 players in the third round, but I will talk about them momentarily because I have their media availabilities that I want to share in today's episode. Max Graham and VT Lovera, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, they were selected in the 5th round. Matthias Milovsky, 6th round. And let's circle back to the 3rd round picks that I just mentioned. Kasper Pikkarainen and Herman Traff were the 2 prospects selected in the 3rd round. Pikkarainen's father actually played for the Devils back during the 2009-2010 season. For any of you diehard Devils fans, he only appeared in about 30 games and he only racked up 4 points. Not really a memorable tenure with New Jersey, but it's still a feel-good moment that his son got selected by the team that he played with. His boy Kasper spoke to the media shortly after being selected by the Devils. Take a listen.
You know, it's awesome. It's a great organization. You know, my dad played for the team, and it's a dream come true. Yeah.
Tell me what you remember about the Devils.
I was so young, I don't remember nothing. I just saw a couple games by my dad, but yeah, not so much.
Is your father here?
Yeah, he's with me. My whole family is here.
How would you describe your game?
I'm a big winger who likes to hit and make plays with the puck in the offensive zone.
Did you have any conversations with the Devils? Do you have an inkling that they might?
Yeah, we had some conversations in the combine and before the combine. So yeah.
You got a feeling from them that they might be interested in your style of game?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
And what are you looking at? What areas have you improved most over the past year, and what areas are you looking to improve heading into next year?
My skating has improved the last years, but I need to work on that still. So my skating is still, I need to work on that still. Yeah.
How far do you think you're away? 2 years away from a real NHL shot?
2 or 3 years, I think I'll be ready to play in the NHL.
You say like a physical power forward
Yeah,
type? Or?
yeah, but I have puck skills too. Yeah.
being someone that enjoys the engaging, like
Yeah.
physicality of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I assume this is a team that's looking to add some of that physicality.
Yeah.
So you think that's part of why they were attracted to you?
Yeah, I think that's why. Yeah.
Would you have ever lived in North America when he was here?
Yeah, I lived for like 1 year in Jersey. So yeah.
Do you have memories of?
No, I don't remember much. No.
So you're comfortable with this around in the area, you know the area.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
That's a good thing to start off with.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, for sure.
Talk about what you need to work on. What are some of the goals you have this upcoming hockey season?
Oh, say again.
You talked about what you need to work on.
Yeah.
What are some of the goals you have this upcoming hockey season?
Yeah, of course the U20 World Championships and to play in the Liga the whole season for the TPS and get a role there.
You gonna be at development camp then?
Yeah, yeah.
And what did you learn about playing a little bit in Liga and the taste that you got there? And how much? Obviously, you've got to kind of.
You know the game is faster and guys are bigger, but you know I like it. Yeah.
What was your dad's reaction when it was the Devils?
He laughed.
How are your games similar or different? Like how does your game compare to what your dad?
Yeah, I think the physicality, it's we like both hitting, but you know I think I'm better with the puck.
Bragging rights, you get drafted higher than he did. He was the 7th round.
No, I know.
One of the things that I think the Devils have been doing in this draft is that they've been selecting some players that might have some upside at the end of the day. Herman Traff from Sweden, he was selected 91st overall by the organization. He was ranked 25 among European skaters by NHL Central Scouting. So he kind of slipped in the draft, if you want to view it that way. Traff also spoke to the media, and here's what he had to say about his overall game and development. Take a listen.
You heard your name called and be part of the New Jersey Devils organization.
It was sick. I get goosebumps. It was really happy, and yeah, I'm really glad to be a part of this organization.
Did you have conversations with them at the combine? Maybe got an inkling that they might be interested in your game?
I'll talk with him a little bit, but not much at all. So I wasn't ready for it, but I'm really happy.
And how would you describe your game? Some strengths, some areas you need to improve upon?
I would say I'm a big forward that play physical with a lot of skills. Try to take the puck to the net and also try to hit every time. So yeah, I would say I'm a power forward.
And would you say you enjoy the physical aspect of the game? That's obviously something they're looking to add, particularly at the forward position.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's some of the players you've looked up to when you were growing up?
I would say Peter Forsberg because you know he's from Sweden. He's a legend in ice hockey. So I look at him all the time on highlights on YouTube and everything. And then also here in New Jersey, Alexander Holtz from Sweden. So.
So your game is like if I had one player that everybody recognizes, who would that player be that you're similar to?
I would say Tage Thompson in Buffalo and Tom Wilson in Washington Capitals.
Do you know Alexander Holtz? Have you crossed paths at all or anything?
I work. I think it was 2 summers ago with the same physical coach. So I just have to say hi to him, but not more. I hope it will be more.
How far away do you think you are from cracking trying to post?
I mean, it's so hard to say. I mean, they ask me like, what do you think? And I say, just if it's gonna take 2, 3, 4, 5 years, I don't know. I just want to come prepared and take a place.
What are some areas of development you're looking to improve on either this next season or next couple seasons?
I would say the play without a puck, the defense play, be more stop and go and try to be more straight to the net.
Is it a difference between the European rinks and the North American rinks? Is there an adjustment?
Yeah, a little bit. I would say it's easier for me to play on the North America rink just because of my size. Yeah.
As we all know, the second day of the draft moves quick. And the Devils had a lot of selections. Unfortunately, I can't highlight every single one. And I'm sure that there's going to be a player that wasn't selected in the first round that ends up having a pretty decent career for themselves. We see it happen. In fact, one of the Devils' best players was drafted late in his respective draft class, and that is Jesper Bratt. So we'll see what happens, but just wanted to show those prospects some love and attention because, as we all know, day 2 of the draft, it's not televised on ESPN. It's swapped over to NHL Network. Doesn't really get the recognition that I think it deserves, but those prospects still work their behinds off to hear their names called and hopefully fulfill their dreams. But switching back over from future to current Devils, we need to talk about where the Devils go from here because, once again, Fitzgerald got to work. All right, if you're curious, and the lights just went out on me, and that's a sign that they're going to kick me out soon, so I got to wrap this up quickly. If you're curious as to what the Devils' cap space is looking like after the draft and after making those 2 trades, they have about $19,792,770 in cap space available. And like I said in segment 1, free agency begins July 1st, and the hustle and bustle of what's been going on the past few days does not end. Stanley Cup final, NHL draft, development camp, and now free agency. And the Devils are not finished. I actually spoke with Jim Behringer of Full Press Hockey, and he was telling me that the Devils are looking to make even more moves. They got to get a little tougher on their bottom 6. That's why they acquired Cotter from the Golden Knights, and they want to get some more depth on the back end. And I think they're looking at Pesce and also Dylan. Once again, it's all speculation, but I think the Devils are in a prime position to land Pesce at least because they were heavily linked to him. We'll see what transpires for the Devils, but Fitzgerald has been hearing the criticism loud and clear. What the Devils had going for them last year wasn't working, and he had to make a desperation switch. That's why you get rid of Kevin Ball and you get yourself a legitimate goalie in Jacob Markstrom. You traded away
John Marino.
Had to show Adam Hamway some love for draft picks so that way you clear up some of the money that he was guaranteed the next few seasons. Because once again, the concern I had for the Devils was that they had too many players signed to long-term deals, and you got to move quickly, especially when some of those players modified no trade clause or no movement clause kicks in on July 1st, and that's exactly what Fitzgerald did. They are not done. I anticipate a few more moves from the Devils, but for the time being, that's a wrap. Day 2 of the NHL Draft here at the Sphere in Las Vegas, Nevada. Thank you guys for sticking by me the past couple days. I really enjoyed it, and now it's time to get on a flight back home. So like I do to close out every episode, continue to stay safe. Have a wonderful day, New Jersey. Go Devils. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Thanks for listening once again.